Hi, welcome to Parenting Win. I'm Lisa Jacobus, and thank you for joining me today. I'm a little slow on responding to this mom's question because it's just been one sickness after the other in our house. So I'm sure most folks can relate. Hopefully, everyone in your family is feeling healthy and good. There's a lot of nasty stuff out there. But I'll get right to the question. And this question comes from a mom with a young daughter who is in adolescence and approaching puberty. And she says, how do I get my daughter to take me serious as a parent? If my husband disciplines her, she listens. If I discipline her, she ignores me or pretends she can't hear me or rolls her eyes or straight out tells me no. She's going through early puberty, so that may be the issue, but she can be downright mean for no reason. She's a wonderful child for everyone else. So this is another great question because I think so many families can relate to this scenario. And also, what I love about this question is this mom is really considering what the developmental milestone that her daughter is facing. And I think whenever we're looking at a parenting challenge that we're trying to tackle, it's really important to consider what developmental milestones that your child is facing. So first, what I thought I would do is talk a little bit about what might be going on here and also look at the mistaken beliefs behind the behavior and then discuss some possible solutions that might be helpful for this mom. So I think it's important to really consider the behavior that's being modeled in the home. Now, I'm not sure if this is happening in this house, but I'm wondering if mom feels as though she's taken seriously by her spouse, and if dad is modeling that sort of behavior and her daughter is sort of picking up on it. So, for obvious reasons, this may actually be a more challenging issue to address. However, I really think it needs to be discussed with the spouse if it's happening. So the key, though, with having this discussion is really focusing on not blaming or shaming the spouse, but really taking a very respectful and solutions-based approach. So you may say something like, do you have some time later today for us to talk? I have something that's really bothering me. And once you've set aside that time, you want to try to focus on using I statements like, I am really feeling very defeated lately and not taken seriously in the home. Do you have any solutions that may be helpful to make me feel more respected and taken seriously? So the key to having that conversation is to really focus on the solutions and not get caught up on, the fact that your spouse doesn't listen. And I just totally oversimplified that scenario, but if that approach doesn't work, then certainly, maybe something to consider might be, talking with a therapist or reaching out for some additional supports to help work on communication within the home. So, the other piece is your husband may actually be a great listener, and the harsh reality might be this is why your daughter listens to him and doesn't necessarily respect what it is that you're asking her to do. So if that's the case, the ideas that I'll present later may actually help with that. And then lastly, it could be that your daughter is listening in spite of listening to you. So again, listening to dad just to make you feel more irritated that she's not following your directions. But most likely, it's a combination of all these things. But I wanted to mention them because, behavior is strongly influenced by family dynamics, and we definitely need to consider those pieces when we're trying to come up with some solutions. But let's also take a look at the mistaken beliefs behind this child's behavior. So what is she really trying to tell mom when she ignores her requests or just flat out says no? So I asked mom, how does she feel in these situations? And she provided me with 2 words. First word that she provided me with was defeated, and the second word was inadequate. So I found this really interesting, especially given the fact that her daughter is going through early puberty. So what does this mean? So if mom is feeling defeated, the child's goal is misguided power, meaning she's saying, I only belong when I'm the boss, and proving that no one can boss me. What she's really telling you is, let me help and give me choices. Now, mom shared that she also feels inadequate, so the child's goal in this scenario is assumed inadequacy and the desire to just give up and be left alone. The child feels that there's no use trying because she'll just do it wrong, and what she really needs is the parent to not give up on her and show her small steps to help her be successful. Now, my guess is that there's probably a combination of these 2 at play here, given, again, that she's facing early puberty, and, going through puberty in and of itself can make a child feel totally inadequate and want to run and hide. So bearing all this in mind, I have several recommendations that may help with the mistaken goals, as well as solutions that will help guide her when she's actually in it. So, for starters, I think holding family meetings is a great place to start. Young kids love these because it allows them to be a part of the solution and helps build connection and trust between the parent and child. So to save time, I'm not going to go through all the steps on holding an effective pairing and positive family meeting, but I will say that solutions really need to be child-driven, and how you identify the problem is really key. So, for example, in this situation, I would not start with, no one takes me seriously. I would instead pick one scenario that is often a real power struggle. Now, I'm going to use the example as homework, because I know lots of families really struggle with getting their child to do their homework. Now, I don't know if this is a power struggle for this mom and daughter, but like I said, I know a lot of families struggle with this. So you might say something like, homework is not getting done at night, and what are some possible solutions we can use to solve this challenge? And then, after brainstorming a bunch of ideas, and it's okay for the kids to act silly or come up with some crazy ideas, the family will then agree on one solution with the plan to implement the solution for 1 week and then report back at the next week's family meeting. And it's really important that for continuity's sake, you hold that meeting again and try to make it, a weekly thing if possible. So, but the real important thing with holding family meetings is that you don't use it as a time to lecture, and that you don't expect perfection the first go around. So, your daughter may not do her homework every night the first week, but, maybe she did her homework 3 or 4 times without you having to ask, and that's a big improvement. So you want to celebrate those small improvements, even if it hasn't fully solved the problem. In concert with this, I think carving out some time each week is really important, since there was mention of your daughter going through all those body changes and whatnot. I think it might be a good idea to start having these talks and these discussions if you haven't already. I've heard several friends say that American Girl doll has a great book that kind of covers all of the body changes and all that good stuff. I've never read it personally, but the recommendation is coming from 2 trusted social workers. So they said it's a really great book. And, you might sit down with your daughter each week and read the book together and ask her questions about what it is that you're discussing, and see if she has any questions herself. That will really help open up that dialogue. What you don't want to do is just hand the book over to her and say, hey, feel free to ask me any questions that you might have. I know a lot of folks take this approach because it feels a little uncomfortable and you don't want to make your child uncomfortable. But really what the message you're saying is, this is a really uncomfortable subject and I don't know if I want to talk about it. So, it may be uncomfortable, but I think it really sets the path for down the road of being able to tell your child that, you are there for them to have these really hard discussions and you want to be there for them. So other recommendations that I also shared last week is really offering limited choices first before asking a child to do something like their homework. So, this is actually a great tip that works great with your spouse as well. I'll often say to my husband, do you want to do the bath or do you want to make dinner? And 9 times out of 10, he chooses bath and I get to sit quietly downstairs and make dinner with no one bothering me. So I'd highly recommend the use of choices. So, in this situation, you could say something like, do you want to play for 30 minutes or do you want to do your homework first? It gives the child some sense of control and also reminds them that after they do play, they do need to get their homework done. Now, when you're in the moment and your child is not listening, I would really pause, take a breath, and check in with yourself. So, are you feeling defeated? Are you feeling inadequate? If you're feeling inadequate, is it because your daughter still is not doing her homework? Then chances are she really needs your help. So, this doesn't mean doing, her homework for her, but because, you don't want to send the message that she's not capable of doing her homework, but rather really helping her break down the task into small steps and helping her make a plan so she will experience some success. So if you're feeling defeated, you want to acknowledge to her that you can't make her do her homework, and leaving it at that, just walking away from the power struggle. This is a hard one because you're giving up the power struggle and you have to trust and hope that your daughter or your child will make the right decision. So I would definitely try that. And, at first she may not do her homework, but I think over time she will learn and it'll be on her. So I would also try being both kind and firm, but also brief. So I can understand why you'd rather watch television than do your homework, and you still need to do your homework, and your homework still needs to be done first. The key here again is that you've said what you've needed to say, and you leave it at that. You're being kind, you're respectful, you're empathizing with what they're going through, and you're not creating a power struggle. My 2.5-year-old is typically always asking to watch more TV, and the answer is always, I know you like to watch TV, and now it is time to play with your toys. I will say this over and over again every time she asks, and I just sound like a broken record, but it really does help. So I said in the last video, and I'm going to say it again, which is decide what you will do. So say your daughter is not picking up her clothes. You let her know that you'll wash the clothes that are in the hamper. If she leaves all her dirty clothes on the floor, well, then you leave them there and you only clean the clothes that are in the hamper. So in that situation, can you see the difference of telling a child what your actions are versus lecturing them to put their clothes in the hamper? So that's just another great way of just being respectful, kind, and firm at the same time. So I just went over a lot, and I hope that this mom and the other parents watching have found this helpful. The adolescent time period is definitely one of the most challenging because both their brains and their bodies are changing so rapidly that they often are feeling so out of control, and it's not uncommon for parents to also feel overwhelmed during this developmental milestone. So, But thank you again for joining me, and please keep sending me your questions and share with your friends. And I hope that everyone has a great week and stays warm and healthy. Thanks so much.